Every year, there are a ton of guys who break out at every single position, and it's just how college football works. In today's video, I want to spotlight 3 players who I think will break out and emerge into stars in 2021, go through their backstories, who they are, and why they are so hyped going into this season. We're going to take a look at 3 players specifically, and if you have a guy you want me to do next, or you want me to continue this series, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, as that'll really help me know that I can do more videos like this, and I definitely want to. Also, nearly 84% of you guys who watch my videos aren't even subscribed, so just hitting that button makes a huge difference, and you won't want to miss out on all the college football content I have planned during the season. So, let's just get started. Mack Brown has arrived at North Carolina. They had some really fun players over the past few years, and most recently they lost Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, Daz Newsome, and Dyami Brown to the NFL, and since Sam Howell is returning, he needs a go-to weapon. You may be asking who that will be, and look no further than to Josh Downs. He came from a football family, as his dad was a former running back for the New York Giants, and is currently the running backs coach at East Tennessee State. His whole family played football as well, and he grew up in Gwinnett, Georgia. As a junior in high school, he ran a 4.47 40-yard dash and had a 42-inch vertical. He would have a huge senior campaign and went down as a legend at North Gwinnett High School. He received interest from schools all around the country, but it came down to Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. His uncle actually played for the Tar Heels back in the day and is the current cornerbacks coach for the Tar Heels, so it was no surprise when he decided to commit there. From there, he'd have a huge game at the Under Armour All-American circuit as he catch 9 passes for 120 yards against some of the best defensive backs in football. He had this to say about it, quote, "I went out there, I wasn't the featured guy, and I pretty much worked every DB that lined up against me, and it started with that." According to 24/7 Sports, Downs was a 4-star recruit, the number 17 wide receiver, and the 95th best player in the class of 2020. He was not expected to play a ton, as they had 2 1,000-yard receivers back on the team. He would appear in 3 games in 2020, would catch his first touchdown against NC State, but then when Daz Newsome and Dyami Brown opted out of the bowl game, he had a chance to shine. This was the highlight of his freshman campaign, as he caught 4 passes for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns, one of which was 75 yards. They ended up losing to Texas A&M, but Downs showed that he was the future. During spring practice, Downs has played very well, and Mack Brown had this to say, quote, "He's our best receiver at this point," end quote. That was short and simple, and just shows exactly how good Downs will be. They do need a full team effort if they want to win an ACC title though, and Downs knows that. He said, quote, "I'm trying to be the top receiver in the core, of course, but as a group, we want to make huge plays, just keep working, get Sam's trust, and let him know even though Dyami and Daz are gone, he's still got dudes to throw the ball to." He sounds like he's a great player who has a great attitude, and I am pumped to watch what Josh Downs will do this year, and maybe he'll become that superstar that Sam Howell needs, and let's see if he can help elevate North Carolina football. Colin Johnson, Devin Duvernay, and Lil Jordan Humphrey are all wide receivers that probably come to mind if you're a Texas football fan over the past few years, but Joshua Moore could be the best of the bunch. Steve Sarkisian is the new coach after he revitalized his career at Alabama, and they have a highly anticipated quarterback battle between Casey Thompson and Hudson Card. Brennan Eagles and Tariq Black are now gone for the NFL, so Joshua Moore has the chance to be the featured wide receiver in this new era of Longhorns football. Going back in time though, Moore would blossom into a huge recruit in the 2018 class and would actually originally take his talents to Nebraska. He was a star at Yoakum High School in Texas, and he was going to be a big deal in college. He committed to the Huskers, as I said, but once Mike Riley was fired, Moore would decide to reopen his recruitment, and he flipped to Tom Herman and the Texas Longhorns. He said, quote, "My recruitment has 3 main points. First is relationships, second is best development, and third is setting me up to be successful in my life after football. I did my research on all my schools." Well, he ended up deciding that Texas was best, and they landed a pretty big name. According to 24/7 Sports, Moore was the number 19 wide receiver, a 4-star recruit, and the 96th best player in the class of 2019. Basically, he was the same kind of recruit that Josh Downs was. As a true freshman, he catch 7 passes for 53 yards and a touchdown, but then he would run into some serious trouble that almost ended his football career. Moore was arrested in downtown Austin after police saw him chamber a round in a 9mm pistol that he had removed from his waistband. Apparently his actions were caught on camera, and he pleaded no contest to a Class A misdemeanor charge. Because of that, he'd have to forfeit the gun and paid a $200 fine, but it'd only get worse when he returned back to campus. Tom Herman suspended him for the entire 2019 season to teach him a lesson, and they decided they'd let the legal process play out. Moore knew where he stood on the matter, and he was on extremely shaky ground. Thankfully, his scholarship wasn't yanked, he was allowed to see the team, and he was given a second chance, and because of that, he did exactly what the coaches wanted him to, and he was reinstated going into 2020, and really did learn his lesson. He would have an emotional return to college football, as in his first game he catch 6 passes for 127 yards and a huge touchdown against UTEP, and then had the game of his life as he caught 5 catches for 73 yards and 3 touchdowns in a crazy comeback overtime win against Texas Tech. After catching a season-high 8 passes for 83 yards and a touchdown against Oklahoma, he sort of disappeared for the remainder of the 2020 season. He was a small factor, but he would show a glimpse of hope as he would catch 2 touchdowns against the Colorado Buffaloes in the Alamo Bowl, and finished the season with 30 catches for 472 yards and 9 touchdowns, and was the best wide receiver on the team statistically. He decided to come back for the 2021 season, and for some reason, he's not as hyped as many would probably think. But I do believe Moore will be the best wide receiver for the Longhorns this year, a 1,000-yard wide receiver, and an eventual day 2 or day 3 draft pick. Before we get to our last guy, be sure to take a quick moment to subscribe, as so many of you guys who watch my videos aren't, and I would really appreciate that. And also drop another player I could add to this video series in the future. I ended up saving the most hyped up guy for last, and it is none other than Jaleel Billingsley. I've heard nothing but good things about him, and former Alabama players believe he'll be a future first-round pick. So who exactly is he? Well, he came out of Chicago and became a huge name on the recruiting trail, but in his original top 7, the Crimson Tide actually were absent. He would later get blown away by Nick Saban and the Tide, and he would commit to the program there. He became the first Illinois native to sign with Alabama since 1997, and according to 24/7 Sports, he was a 4-star recruit, the number 11 tight end, and the 308th best player in the class of 2019. He was great for most program standards, but was on the lower end for Alabama. He would appear in 2 games in 2019, catching 2 passes, but he was able to redshirt. After Jalen Waddle got injured against Tennessee in 2020, Billingsley was one of the guys to step up and show flash. He caught 3 passes for 78 yards against Kentucky, and would catch his first touchdown the following week against Auburn. He caught a season-high 4 passes against LSU, and even returned to kick against Florida in the SEC championship game. This was nuts, as not many tight ends do that, and it showed the kind of special player he was. From there, he would help lead the Tide to the playoff, where he caught a touchdown in their win over Notre Dame, and helped them close out against Ohio State to earn a ring. He finished his sophomore campaign with 18 catches for 287 yards and 3 scores. According to scouts, he's a long-limbed, very skinny slot tight end who has the speed to make him a matchup weapon. His strong hands and a big catch radius to come down with off-target passes, can catch the ball in traffic, and will be a tight end-like player who can contribute right away as a receiver. This was a scouting report I found, and to me he kinda sounds like the next Kyle Pitts. Pitts was a more muscular guy, but in terms of his ability to just be an absolute nightmare in matchups, maybe he is Pitts. To be honest, most people's eyes are on John Mechie, but Billingsley is a guy to watch out for in 2021, and I would not be surprised if he's a big deal or a first-round pick pretty soon. But what do you guys think? What do you think of Josh Downs, Josh Moore, and Jaleel Billingsley? Who is another player who you think could break out next? And let me know what school you are a fan of. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.